Did Julia log on?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, very good. Okay. Okay, so we are only missing 2 out of our 7, so we're good to go. So I'm going to call the meeting to order. The Board of Direct Entry Midwifery, Legend, Drugs, and Devices Continuing Education Committee meeting is convening at 8:09 a.m. on August 30th, 2022 at the Health Licensing Office in Salem, Oregon by telephone conference call. I will now call roll. Holly Scholas?
Present.
Colleen Forbes?
Here.
Julia Bailey?
Here.
Greg Ramirez?
Here.
Desi Lang?
Here.
And Catherine Bailey and Haley Beeson are not in attendance at this time. Members, when you wish to speak, please state your last name for the record. Committee members are asked to not use the chat feature during meetings. Public members wishing to speak must first sign in on the roster sheet available. For public members calling in on the public phone line, please email April Fleming at april.fleming@dhsoha.state.or.us and provide your first and last name. Public and interested parties' feedback may be heard during the public interested parties' feedback period if indicated on the agenda. Everyone is asked to use appropriate language, manners, and protocols when conducting board business. The meeting is called to order. And let's do introductions. My name is Cynthia Murphy. I'm the qualification analyst for the Health Licensing Office. I've been with the office for 26 years, and I write education, training, and exams. Holly, would you like to go?
Sure. My name is Holly Scholas. I've been a midwife in independent practice since 1978. I currently live in Beaverton, Oregon. I am the president of Birthing Way College, which is getting ready to close. And I've been involved in midwifery education for a really long time and was involved in passing the legislation that created the LD&D and formulary for midwives, and had been involved in that ever since. I am open for questions.
Colleen?
Hi, my name's Colleen Forbes. I'm a licensed midwife practicing in Eugene, Oregon for the last 20 years or so. I'm the former chair of the licensing board and a current subject matter expert for the Health Licensing Office.
Thank you. Julia?
I'm Julia Bailey. I'm a practicing midwife in the Mid-Valley region. I've been practicing since 2013. I am also the OMC LD&D coordinator and have been teaching LD&D since 2016.
Greg?
Good morning. I'm Greg Ramirez. I'm in a new position now. I'm with Shriners Children's Hospital here in Portland. And I'm also a medical officer in the Army, where I'll be leaving in 11 days, retiring. And I'm a critical care paramedic.
Thank you. Desi?
Hi, I'm Desi. I have a private practice. I've been in Forest Grove area, Hillsborough area, since 2017. I don't know if I have anything else to add.
Great. Well, thank you very much. I just want to say thank you to everyone on this committee. Without you, we could not do the business that we do, and your expertise and information and input is just truly invaluable. And so I just want to thank you for all being here and taking the time to work on this and getting this moved forward. It's a very big piece that we've been talking about for a long time. So again, thank you very much. So I'm going to share my screen, and again, bear with me while I try to get this technical stuff going on here. I said hi. Oh, and Sammy Patnote says hello. Can everyone see the agenda on the screen?
Yes, it's very small relative to everything around it. In other words, we can't see very much of it. It's legible, but it's just, yeah, a small amount.
Is that better?
Mm-hmm. And by the way, hi, Sammy.
Hi, Molly. Okay, So we are going to, we did the call to order, we did the introductions, we're going to go over the agenda today. We're going to go over the Legend Drugs and Devices Continuing Education Committee meeting report from September 23rd of 2021. We're going to look at the Oregon Revised Statutes in regards to authority. We're going to look at the Oregon Administrative Rules. We're going to talk about the competencies, the skills exam, written examination, and next steps. So Sammy and I have worked together for 26 years in the office, and we're a great team, I think. She is extremely smart, and I probably couldn't do my job without her, but we collaborate on a lot of things that we do. And her and I have, when we start going over the Oregon Revised Statutes and Administrative Rules, we will talk about what Sam and I have discussed based on what the committee wants and what at the direction of the board. And so I'm going to first of all go over the meeting report from September 23rd, and let's see if I have that pulled up. I'll get that pulled up.
This was September 23rd, 2021, correct?
Yes.
Just in case I missed something somehow.
Can everyone see? I'm going to try to make that bigger. Well, if I make it bigger. So can everyone see the report? Sammy, can you see? I can't see what you guys are seeing.
Yeah.
Okay. So on April 15, 2021, the Board of Direct Entry Midwives Board tasked the Health Licensing Office with the Sampling and Education Committee to review the Legend Drugs and Devices Initial Continuing Education Program to determine which requirements must be completed to obtain licensure in Oregon. And the EC will be tasked with reviewing education completed in state and out-of-state schools, other state licensure, including previous experience, methods to verify education and experience, additional education requirements, including supervisory requirements. And then on September 23rd, 2021, the EC met to discuss the board's task and came up with several recommendations. The EC will be holding meetings in 21 and 22 to prepare documentation to support the recommendations, which will be presented to the full board for approval upon their completion. The EC recommendations are as follows from that 2020 meeting. Competencies, create standardized competencies for individuals wanting to obtain licensure in Oregon, no matter what educational pathway an individual chooses, including attending a MEEC accredited or pre-accredited educational institution, completing training through the NARMPEP process, or training or education obtained in another state. The skills examination, to create a standardized skills examination, which must be completed and passed prior to a licensed direct entry midwife administering Legend Drugs and Devices in Oregon. Verification for completing and passing the skills examination must be submitted upon the LDM's first renewal, in addition to completing and passing the skills examination and providing verification for their alternating subsequent renewals. Now, this is something that we had talked about, and then it was my understanding that, and we'll talk about this a little bit later in the meeting, it's not about the first renewal, it's really about the application and having those skills and those competencies already completed, and the skills in the practical, or excuse me, the skills in the written examination would be a qualification for licensure instead of a renewal, which was the legislative intent when LD&D was first created, in order to get everyone on board. So now here we are so many years later, and really it's not the renewal, it's the practice and the education prior to practice during and administering the Legend Drugs and Devices. So let's see. So the skills examination would be administered through a board-approved entity, which includes, but is not limited to, a MEEC accredited or pre-accredited educational institution, the Oregon Midwifery Council, or other qualified individuals. The skills exam must be administered by a board-approved entity or individual. The individual administering the skills examination must not be the same individual who provided the training or education. So to create a standardized written examination, which must be completed and passed prior to the licensed direct entry midwife administering lead drugs and devices in Oregon, verification of completing and passing the written examination must be submitted upon the LDN's first renewal, which I just addressed, that we're going a different pathway. The written examination would be administered through Workday Oregon and must be monitored by a board-approved entity or individual. The individual monitoring the written examination must not be the same individual who provided the training or education. The Workday Oregon examination is free to individuals. And I think that we need to talk about the monitoring of the Workday Oregon examination. I think that's something that we should be discussing when we talk about the written examination. Let's see. And then HLO will be working directly with legal counsel to ensure recommendations by the EC align with the board's authority. And the HLO will keep the board apprised of your progress. Does anyone have any questions about that? No? Okay.
Cynthia, what about the paragraph that you skipped over about Greg and Catherine doing something? Is that part of the official minutes? And about us reporting by October 2021?
The EC members will be providing the HLO with documentation and information by October 6, 2021, which will be used by HLO to prepare a draft of the standardized competencies, which everyone did provide me. A few individuals did provide me with the information I needed in order to put together my the competencies and the skills and written examination. Additional information is still needed, and as we go through today's documents, I'll be asking the committee members to provide me or work on examination questions as we move forward for our September 30th meeting. And then let's see.
Draft, which is part of the minutes, is okay with everyone involved.
I'm sorry, what, Holly?
I just want to make sure that this paragraph, which these are the official minutes that we're approving, correct?
No, this is a report that was given to the board in September of 2021 to support our meeting that we had, or to show them what this committee came up with. So this is just a memo.
Okay, great. Never mind then.
But no, it's good. I'm sorry I skipped that one. So moving forward, let me get another document up. Did everybody get the documentation that I sent them and have a chance to look it over? Okay. Thank you. So let me get back. So we're going to start with the statutes today. And so one of the things I want to talk about is on page 3. Standards for licensing application payment by medical assistance program for services provided by a licensed midwife. So A, be consistent with the requirements for becoming a certified professional midwife as established by the North American Registry of Midwives. And then C, require the applicant to successfully complete an examination approved by the board. This is something that Sam and I have talked about, and we are going to be getting the legal counsel in regards to the skills and written examination required for application to obtain a license, and that's not at the renewal stage, but as a requirement to obtain the license. So we will be reporting by the September 30th meeting in regards to the outcome of that legal advice.
So this is Holly. In the past, that section C, that line C was interpreted to refer to having to take the NARM CPM exam. And it was never applied to LD&D. Not saying we shouldn't, but just to give a little background for people, that was how that was interpreted.
Did we get legal advice on that previously, Holly? No.
I don't remember with complete accuracy. My vague memory is no, but at one point we were getting legal advice on absolutely everything, and it cost a small fortune. So anything's possible.
Okay. Sammy does not believe that we actually, in regards to where we're moving with this skills exam and written examination, and that education being in not as continuing education, as education. And so we're going to move this question forward with our intent and where we're trying to go, and to see what legal counsel will, the outcome of that will be.
That's really clever, actually.
So just as a sidebar, maybe we'll have it done before your next meeting, and we would have Heather here to present that, unless it's, I could do it too, it would just depend.
Can everyone hear Sammy?
Yes.
No.
I can barely hear you, Sam. Sorry.
Coming over. Can you see me now?
I don't think you can see this at all.
Can you
I'd
see
have to
me?
take the document down here.
Yeah, Colleen, you can see me, yeah?
I can see you.
Yeah.
Oh, you can see
They
my
can see
face.
us from here.
Oh, I see. Okay.
This is just up there.
Oh.
So I will get the question out to our legal counsel this week, and maybe we would have it ready by your September 30th meeting. Unsure. So, and then the other thing is that we could, if we didn't have it ready and say that was your only meeting you're going to have, we could just take that information straight to the board. So just depending on time, I don't know if we would have it done by your next meeting. If so, we would present it to you, and if not, we would just take it straight to the board with the committee's intent. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Perfect.
So the new piece of information for me is that we have a meeting on September 30th. Did everybody else know about that? And I've just been sitting here in the dark?
I didn't know.
I
No.
thought I thought I had called everyone individually. Did I not? Did I not?
About this meeting today, the August 30th meeting, but not a September 30th meeting.
Oh, excuse me, the 29th, September 29th.
I don't think I have that either.
Well, it's adjustable.
It's adjustable. I thought maybe I dreamt about it, you guys. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I don't have it.
Okay, will that work for everyone?
The 29th?
September 29th?
This is Julia. It doesn't work for me. I'm out of town. But if there's quorum, then.
It'd be better if you were there, Julia. Your experience in teaching this is super important, in my opinion.
Thanks, Holly. I would love to be there. Let me look at my calendar and double check the dates that I'm gone. Yeah, I'm gone the 24th of September through the 1st.
So why don't we do this? So if we have to move it out, I am also gone up until the 28th in September. So why don't we get some dates together in October, the first week of October? And by April can get some meeting dates together for me, and then we can, by the end of the meeting, we can try to get a set date in October. Does that work for everyone?
Yes.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Okay, very good. Okay. Okay. So let's see. Authority to purchase and administer certain legend drugs and devices. So this is basically the authority that for the legend drugs and devices, which this authority doesn't reference renewal. What does reference renewal is up above in regards to renewal. Requirements for license renewal, which we have continuing education for renewal. So this is for the purchasing of, and I think with this and the, and I'm going back and forth, my apologies, with the examination, I really think, and then with that legislative intent initially, I think that hopefully we can put it as a requirement for licensure and not have it as part of the renewal, because we have renewal requirements for the LD&D.
Cynthia, this is Holly again. Notice I'm trying to be good about my name.
Thank you, Holly.
That renewal stuff was not, the way it's worded now was not part of the initial legislation, though, and I'm sure you remember that. That it was relatively recent that it got reworded. Okay. So some of this statute is older than other parts of this statute, right?
The only that's been added was the group B strap.
The group B strap?
That's the only that's been added since.
The LD&D was added to the statute, and the group B strap was added to the statute. And then the rules, which implement that there were a lot of changes made in those in order to try to make sense of how to make it work with this legislation, the statute. So just providing that as background for people.
Okay. Thank you, Holly. So with what we have, hopefully, with that initial intent that she'll be able to look at with this, what we have authority-wise, and we can move forward with what the intent of this committee and moving forward to the board with that. So does anyone have any questions about the statutes? No, I'm just going to go right on to rules then. So on page 5 is the first section that we would need to address. So these would go away if the applicant received the initial legend drugs and devices continuing education prior to applying. It must have been attained within 2 years. It will be a requirement. So these two sections of the rules will go away. And then on page 6 is where we would add, under the education, we would add the LD&D here, the core competencies that we're creating, and the skills and written examination. And then down here, under 1550, is where we would add the skills and written examination as well.
Then you would have to change the topic heading there, because that's about NAR midwifery examination, not about LD&D.
Exactly. So that would just be examinations in general.
Gotcha.
And then on page 9, continuing education. So this number 2 would go away because it would no longer be continuing education for that, other than this, the renewal piece. Not that 35, 40, it's 40. Would that go away? I don't
think so.
I don't think so
that is
either.
like for renewing the license.
Yeah, oh, excuse me, it's 3 that would go away. The 40. Yeah, the first one is the 5 of the LD&D, and then the second one is the 40, and this renewal piece for the continuing education would go away.
But we might also want to change too, because right now what it says is 5 hours among these topics, but we had talked about requiring for renewal that people pass the skills exams every 2 years. And so if that's what we still want to do, that section 2 might require some fiddling,
Okay, gotcha.
which I still think is a really good idea. Not that they have to sit through how to give a shot again or how to start an IV again as a lecture, because these are skills that are kind of fundamental, but rather that they demonstrate their competency through a skills exam. I mean, we could have a small written exam too to accompany it if there are things we feel like should be covered that way. But
So you want them or your recommendation is, or the recommendation at the last meeting was for them to retake that skills and written exam every 2 years?
I think when we talked about it at the board meeting when Colleen was the chair back in the day, that there was pretty much a consensus among everybody testifying that it was more the skills exams that were essential, that people be able to demonstrate they could suture, start an IV, give an injection correctly. I can't recall whether we thought there should also be a small written exam, but we certainly could require the written exam again. You know, that wouldn't be a bad thing. But rather than sitting in a chair for 5 hours listening to people talk about how to do it, spend the 5 hours doing the testing. And it takes about 5 hours to do a written exam and all that testing. So.
Okay. So I'm just for my curiosity. So once I know how to suture and once I can do those stitches, it's just not always there, Holly? That's
People
my
suture and start IV so infrequently in our practices that and there are exceptions, but the idea was that people would regularly demonstrate their ability to do those things because they are important. If you need to start an IV, you need to be able to do it even if you haven't started one in 2 years. And they are skills that can get rusty or you can forget steps.
Okay. So then here's my other question. On that skills examination, that initial one for licensure, would that every 2 years be exactly the same, or would there only be portions of that would need to be retaken?
Exactly the same skills exam, because those are the skills and those are the steps for the skills and they're exactly the same. And renewing in order every 2 years to demonstrate that you still got it, I think is important. And I could definitely get behind doing the written exam again. That's when Birthing Way taught renewal, we always did written and skills exams as part of the education.
Okay.
Am I remembering correctly, Colleen? You were there, and so was Julia.
Yeah, I mean, I think there was a lot of conversation about having a continuing skills exam every 5 years. I'm not sure that I would agree that there was consensus on that. I think that there was a lot of conversation about it. I, for one, don't actually believe that that is necessary. I think that people, I kind of like the way it's set up right now, that you can recognize your area of challenge and you can hone your skills through a suturing class, for example, which was a really great class, or through IV starts or GBS, if you feel like that is an area that is short for you. But these lack of the skill to start an IV isn't something that really comes up in any of the cases that I ever reviewed. This isn't really a shortcoming. Either you're going to start IVs or you're not. And if you're not really one that's going to start IVs, then learning to do them every 2 years isn't really, what is that doing? It's not doing anything. You're not confident, and 2 years trying it isn't going to make you confident. And so and the reason that I argue about this is because I think that the logistics of requiring an every 2 year 5 hours in-person skills test is challenging for a lot of midwives, unless we are really paying somebody to travel around the state and do this at everybody's renewal time.
Julia?
That's absolutely the case.
Yeah.
For this is Greg, for in my world for pre-hospital providers, there is a requirement to do it every 2-year skills evaluation, and it is logistically a nightmare. And quite honestly, a lot of things end up getting pencil whipped. It's not nearly, it does not have the intent that I think we set out to do it. It really doesn't capture shortcomings or need for remediation. So yeah, I think I'd recommend steering away from that.
Julia?
Yeah, I think that so what I'm hearing sounds accurate. Like I know that there was a lot of relief from a lot of midwives when the requirements for the renewal changed, because it was a nightmare. I did renewals